Okay, hello guys. This looks nice.
It's a nice prop. It's a very nice prop.
Yeah, thanks to Luben that we are so good technically equipped.
Very professional.
Very professional. So thanks to everybody that you took the time and you made it to here in this traffic outside. It's like very shitty weather, shitty traffic, and you still managed to teleport yourself here to materialize here around this table. So really thank you for this. And it's also very nice that I see also new faces here, like Peter, Daniel, and that there's interest in the topics that we discuss. Today, we have a little bit more materialistic topic. We've been in different other areas, but now the topic for today is the euro that will be as an accepted currency in Bulgaria from January, next year, which is just around the corner. And today we have a very distinguished speaker among us.
Oh my God. He already... you put so much pressure on me to perform, so I hopefully, keep up to the challenge.
Now, I'm sure you will, because you're among friends, and everybody here is actually to understand better what's going on and what will come to us, because there's so much talk and bullshit talk in the news and everywhere. And I think this will shed some really light on the topic. We also have a few people that I kindly asked to share a bit of their experience from being in countries that accepted the euro and already have something to tell about it. These are for instance Arne, who is German and was in Germany at that time. I don't know, not sure.
Surprise, right?
Yeah, he's very rarely in Germany actually, but yeah.
But he was at that time.
You were.
But technically, I was in Switzerland.
Okay.
Technically,
yeah. Because of tax reasons.
No, because of skiing.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Also, Boriana, I can be asked to share some experience. Boris, who is also a very distinguished writer, having a few books.
Oh, come on, your ability to exaggerate.
Next level.
Come on, I need to sell,
Very established, celebrated, yes.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe he's looking for a job.
I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'll probably also share a story which actually involves you, as you know. Yeah.
Okay.
No, actually, I'm gonna start with my story. We go back in English. I hope Luben will be able to cut this part.
Not cut again.
Okay. So I'll start with my story, which will be very short, that I kindly ask also the other people to share, just to be able to get into the talk, but then to leave the main part to Vladi. Actually, I borrowed money to go to Germany for the first time, and actually borrowed from your father. And I borrowed 2,000 Deutschmarks. And this helped me actually to start my time in Germany, for the first year. This helped me to survive. And I borrowed this money in 2000 I think, 2001.
Yeah,
something like
around.
That. Yes, something like that.
And end of 2000, I think.
Yes, and this money helped me actually to buy my ticket to Germany and to be able to stay there for the first month to find a job. I went there to study, but I also needed to work. And then a year later, then this was let's say 2001. You were in Mannheim at that time, and you came to Munich with Kalina, if you remember. Yeah, I have it on paper. She signed as a witness that I give you the money back. I have a piece of paper. It was so important to me then.
Okay, yeah.
And basically I gave him the money back, and it was 1,023 euros at that time. It was 22 something, some small amount. And we were at Stachus in Karlsplatz in Munich, and we drank and we ate, and this was a celebration. But I exactly remember taking 2,000 D-marks and giving back 1,023 euros. And basically that was it. There was nothing else, no more romantic or some dramatic story about it. It just like changed. Like it was like a little bit less, not exactly 1 to 2, but that's it. That's the story. Of course, I have much more dramatic story how it all went this year and what I went through, but I wouldn't.
People can read for reference Bobby's book, so
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
more or less more or less representative for a lot of people, including myself, about what was going on at that time.
As a sales guy, I'm allowed to say Bobby, one of his books, because he has many, is like exactly about Germany and Bulgarian students going to Germany, living through quite some difficulties and changes in their perception of life.
Thank you.
Yeah, and quite good books. Also, some of them funny, some of them not so much, depending on which book you take. Okay, this is my story, just to say that basically there was so much fuss about it, what will change. Nothing really changed at that moment, that you just gave a little bit less money, but nothing really changed in this short of time, especially as an end user, right? As consumer. I was a student from Bulgaria doing my stuff, and it just changed. Like that's it. That's my story, basically. I'll give the word to our German friend here that was in Germany, especially at that time.
The pressure. The pressure. Good evening, everybody. So, well, thank you for preempting my story already, because my story is very similar to yours. And it's very anticlimactic. And you already got this here, right?
Sir, what does that word mean?
Anticlimactic, it doesn't have like a big resolution.
Yes.
Okay. Not like a book, right? That goes towards this final act, and then boom, there is the reveal, and then it all perception switches, and all of a sudden you get whatever, some emotional arc, the tension releases or anything. So I'm more on this side, just to set the emotional tone here. You got to understand the background here, right? So I'm from the east of Germany, from the former communist part. So just a few years ago, we exchanged our not so beloved mark, the DDR, so the Eastern mark, which was like, didn't have much of a value, right? You couldn't buy much with that. And we changed that for the Deutsche mark, which we loved much more, right? Because you could actually
We too. We also.
Yeah, I know, everybody loved it, right? Even, it's a long discussion.
The banknotes were quite pretty, I would say.
Yeah, but also you could, I mean, it was desired, right? It was a hard currency. I guess you come a bit to that mechanics of the southern European countries devaluing against the Deutsche mark and so on, and these, which kind of had negative effects on both sides. But I leave that to you.
This would be too technical, I think.
But you're the
it will be very long.
I will not venture there. My point was just, we love this much more, right? So there was an emotional arc. You know, in Leipzig at the demonstrations in September, October 1989, they said, kommt die Deutschmark nicht nach hier, gehen wir zu ihr. If the mark doesn't come where we are, then we will go where it is, right? So it was like pretty much a threat, because everybody wanted to go. So there was what I'm saying is there was an emotional bond to that kind of money, and for the first time you could get something, you could experience living the life, you know, in the West, and drinking this and doing that, and of course everything was expensive, and you couldn't really do it because you didn't have the means, but you could have if you had the money, which you didn't have, but you know, the money would have done it. So there was an emotional bond, and that was why there was a bit of tension and discussion before we again a change of currency now to the euro, and together with the French people and the Italian, who trusts those people, right? And they eat croissant, it's really weird, and frogs, and snails, terrible. And now, so you had this new money, and it was maybe technically a bit more difficult than here in Bulgaria, because then again, here you kind of accept the money that's already existing, but the euro wasn't existing at the time, so it was introduced from scratch. Yeah? And a few days, I can't remember, like 10 days or so, maybe even only 5 or so, before the euro became a thing and you could pay with it, you had to go to a bank and you could exchange like 200 Deutschmarks or something for 100 euro roughly, and you got a little plastic bag with different denominations of the money in it, and you could look at it but not do much with it at the time. And you had to keep it until you could use it. And of course, over the New Year's Eve of 2002, I think it was, 2001 to 2002, when the Euro was introduced. I was skiing in Kitzbühel in Switzerland, because why not, right? That's what you do for New Year's. You ski. I lived in Munich at the time, was a lawyer, professional. So that's what you do. That's how you spend your weekends. And then I got out on the 2nd of January. I got out of my car. On the 1st, hold your breath, hold your breath. This is the emotional arc in the story. McDonald's. I got myself a Big Mac and a Coke. The drink, not the powder. They don't say that there.
Yet.
I'm maybe on the parking lot. I don't know, but not over the counter, right? You can't order it.
Shocking.
That's what I said. That's shocking. Exactly my words. But my point, and here, sorry for the that was quite of a letdown, the emotional non-arc, if I may say that. That was it. There was no big thing, and we used for all other things like gas, and so we used credit cards. Today you use Revolut, I guess. So on a technical level, it did not matter a bit. Now, of course, there were discussions in Germany at the time, similar discussions as there are here. Is it our identity and the Deutschmark, and should we really do that? And there are tons of things to be said on a macro and micro level and so on. But what I'm saying is, again, end user perspective, you said, right? End user perspective, that was your word, yeah? It was not very emotional. And that's what I remember. I remember not remembering much because it didn't happen really on an emotional level. And then again, sorry for the story, having no big arc and no resolution, and not even being a real story, more like a basket case of memories, but that was how it felt. It didn't feel like a big resolution. And with that, and with the hope of a better story, may I pass on the microphone? Right.
Just to give you a secret, she's Spanish, Irene, and actually she said she also lived through that, but she was just a little girl, so she didn't want to talk about it. But I also tried to put on the spotlight, but she refused. So you refused, right? But she also lived through it. Yeah.
Would be cool anger because we all were in Germany at the time. I mean, I was in Switzerland, you were in Germany, so it would be nice to have.
I was in Bavaria, not exactly German. Come on.
That is true. That is a very fair point. That is a very fair point.
No, I don't want to torture her, so.
You
want to say a few words?
All I remember is there was a 25 pesetas coin that had a hole in the middle of it. I don't know if any of you have seen it.
Like very
I
ancient,
think I have.
ancient coins have like.
With a hole in it.
Yeah.
And it was very unique. Everyone was very emotionally attached to that one. And everyone kept a bunch of them as a souvenir. That's all I remember. Like, there was no. It was just you changed the look and feel of that. The other thing that's different is that it wasn't a 1-to-2 ratio. It was like 300 and something or 160 something to 1. So the numbers suddenly got much smaller. So for years and years afterward, everyone would still speak about certain things in pesetas because it sounded like my house is worth this many millions of pesetas, sounded more than 100,000, 200,000 euros. But it was very anecdotal, I would say, just like you guys were saying. Nothing very special.
Hi guys, I also tried to remember what really happened back in the 2001, 2002 when the euro got adopted in Germany. And I have somewhat similar story to Boyko. My dad sent me to Germany with the 3,000 Denmark, which he borrowed from somebody. I don't know, from him.
Not from my father.
No, I didn't live in Sofia.
He was exclusive to me.
That's true.
And I don't have a story about ever returning this money, but what I do remember indeed is that we had a store. Plus,
Yeah.
it's like
Yes.
little plus, yeah. And coming from Bulgaria to Germany, there was such a high variety of things to buy. And I remember buying one thing, I don't remember the thing. It could have been a Milka chocolate, it could have been a Nuremberg boost. I don't remember the item. But it was $3.50 back in the Denmark. times. And in January, February, it was supposed to be 170, 180, and a few months later it was just, what, €2. So I would say back in the day, in 2001, I remember with 20 Mark, you could, sorry, I switched to German, you could buy like half full of shopping cart from this Plus as a student, and a year after with the same card, probably almost the same items in it, you could not do the same with €10. It's like a distant memory of mine. What I also remembered while Arne was speaking is that everything seemed cheaper because we half the price, like on the shelves. Now here as well, I sometimes see something that costs 150 and I say, ooh, that is cheap, and then I see it's €0. Sorry.
Логистиката е важна.
Welcome, guys.
I also talked to my brother who lives in Greece during the oil adoption. I mentioned that before, and he also remembers pricing going higher. And I also talked to a husband of a friend of mine who was in Spain at the oil adoption time, and he was a foreigner in Spain, I think 2007, I don't know the year. And he said the next year was like they were very hungry without a job. For the whole year they had to eat like bread and there were no jobs. And she said it was around 2007, 2008, the global financial crisis hit. So I think it's also dependent on the time. Back in Germany, there was no such thing.
Okay.
That's all from my side.
Thank you. Boris, please.
Thank you.
Няма право.
Actually weird that all examples are from Germany. I was hoping that someone from Italy will come on because their era was also very sentimental to them. Actually, yesterday I had a job at near a parking lot at Bulgaria here, and it was like kind of déjà vu because the sign on the parking lot said ticket for a whole day costs 10 leva or €5.08. It was exactly like that in Germany. We had I don't remember whether they were 6 months or 3 months in which both prices were shown there, and suddenly the rounding up when the 1st of January came was shocking. And I hope that everyone knows that these €5.08 will not remain with 0.08 cents after the conversion, but they will rather become, if we are lucky, 5.50. And realistically, they will become €6. Because this is what happened. And unlike Arnhem, my budget was actually counted to the last penny back then. And this rounding up really made a mess with my whole budget. Especially because I was living there at that time in a very, very historical center of Munich. Because I guess that in Munich, as a foreign student, you had two chances: either to get a very very expensive apartment very far from the center, and even more expensive apartment in the very historical center. I was lucky to get one in the very historical center, and it was so expensive that I had to have 3 student jobs to pay the rent alone. Of course, as a Bulgarian and a poor student from Bulgaria, I had to do something to balance out the accumulated living costs, like heating and electricity. My landlord was a very, I wouldn't say very old, but very, not so much with the brain, Greek guy who had been living in Munich for more than 40 years, 30 years. It was actually an eternal life in Germany. and I was paying to him the rent in marks, and the other living costs actually were paid by him, and I needed to give him the money for that. And I had like, by the end of 2001, I had accumulated like around 1,800 marks for heating alone, because I just didn't pay them. And he forgot to ask for this money, and of course when he forgets, I'm not going to be so pushy to remind him. And on January the 10th, 2002, he came to me and said, "Oh, look, Boris, you're paying the rent. I have calculated the euro, the amount in euro, but you have accumulated more than 3,000 marks in supporting costs." And I said, "Well, I think that your company is calculating the euro not correctly. And I don't have to pay 1,500 euro, but rather 700 euro. And I will show you why. And the magician that I am, I will make a formula for calculating the marks into euro so that it can adjust the amount to 700 euro. And yeah, I tricked him, but I didn't have a choice. Or maybe I had, but I didn't think of that at that moment. He agreed, and this was actually the highlight of the transition to the euro. Back then, it allowed for many tricks for people to get tricked, actually, many people. One other thing that I felt really very painstakingly on my back was the payment that I received from employers. As I said, I used to have 3 student jobs at the time because the rent was exceptional, and also I cannot go back to Bulgaria by bus. I need to take the plane, and the plane was very expensive. And one of the employments was at the Munich Fair, the Messe München. I think that everyone who was at the time in Munich knows that employer. They used to pay me 14 mark per hour, and then suddenly, after the conversion, it was 7.05 before tax. And after tax, it was like something like a little less than €5, and it seemed just tragic. I mean, it's so humiliating and everything. So. But then, slowly but firmly, in due course of 2002, the employer, what was his name? Paul Meyer, Sicherheitsdienst. He made up something with which to compensate us, and they added some sort of an additional training that we had to go through, and signed a new contract for €10 the hour, which then seemed much more lucrative and not so humiliating. Many of the employers of such low-class employees like myself back then did think of something to increase the salaries off-cycle, because the prices went high. I mean, probably for the lawyer Arne, they were not so high.
The lawyer was always broke.
So yeah.
Spending habits, bad spending habits though.
Yeah, and here with the guys we spoke that zero is a zero, no matter what currency. So yeah, they thought of how to increase the salaries so that we can catch up with the euro. This was, I think, that every country in the EU had back then the term to identify that euro is increasing all the prices. In Germany, it was the Euro from teuer for expensive, and and that was it. It was not such a streamlined process, especially in my memories, as everyone is trying to sell to us in Bulgaria. I remember again the plus. There were 3 cash tills and 3 ladies. There was again a transition period, I guess it was 3
It
months.
was 6 months, and now it's 1.
Yeah.
Back then it was 6
I don't know how it will work, but they were really smashed on these cash deals because you had people paying with a part of the amount in euro, a part of the amount in marks, and they had their own calculators, but the calculation was so complex that they got totally lost. The queues were high, and it wasn't a romantic period, but like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months after the transition, it started getting, I would say normal. I would use the word normal, but there was a period which was not that smooth. And last thing, 2 months ago I had to make a transition in euro from Bulgarian bank to Greek, Cypriotic bank. The bank I worked with was a central cooperative bank. They are not very famous for their straight line processes. They totally got lost. I had to transfer an amount of 50,000 euro, millions. They closed the whole branch just in order to fill out 2 sheets of paper for this transfer. And I spent there like 5 hours and 30 minutes, because they were like very, very charming ladies in their 60s, shortly before pension, and they didn't know how to read all these documents in English text and so on and so forth. So I sense a kind of chaos. But let's say positive, guys. It's coming, so thank you very much.
Thanks for the nice stories. And I have to really say this, I'm really impressed by your memory, Boris. I just can't say, I respect for that. How many details you have there, like really, I don't have this. And without for you to like, how do you remember this? I don't know.
It's
like,
kind of torture, boy.
we grow through pain, yes.
Yeah.
We grow through pain, yeah. Thanks for the story. This was really a nice dive in. Just a few words how the evening will go. Now we'll have a talk with Vladi, who will be mostly talking about the euro because of his background, because of his experience. Then probably I'll ask a few questions during that talk, and then everybody could ask a question so that we really have more like, at least towards the end, like a dialogue, and like just to really have an understanding and have the feeling that we're better prepared. This is actually the idea of this evening. Then whoever wants to stay after this, because we're a little bit behind schedule, can stay and mingle and talk about, but like we'll try to, I don't think we'll finish by 8:30, probably around 9:15, I think, because like how things are going right now. Just for you to make a plan. If somebody needs to leave earlier, you're free to go anytime, just saying how it's gonna go. And one very important thing, like why we're here is like actually, like let's remember why we started doing these meetings, right? It was like to be financially free, right? And this is the basis to get like to be free, and to be free is to be able to be happy and to be satisfied, right? So here, like I would like to get the focus from end user or like customer, and get back to like what it means as a retail investor for us, trying to get on the path to financial freedom, to invest and to get like passive or semi-passive income, which will allow you to take your time back. So I would kindly ask like everybody to turn their focus back on this part, is like, what does it mean for me as an investor, as a retail investor? Because probably if somebody of you is an institution, like has huge amounts under control, I respect, but like I would say like 99% of us are retail investors. So and I would really love to put the focus on this, and afterwards, if we ask questions, it will be like really better to talk about how we really invest and which platforms and what is the difference there than what the price of the cheese is, right? This was nice dive in, but like let's go more into direction of how to be financially free, how to get this freedom, how to get time, how to get this semi-passive income, and what does it mean. Okay? So up to you, and you have your own microphone.
Yes, I'm very well prepared by Leuven. Yeah, by Leuven. Sounds by Leuven. Sounds very well. Okay, because this is actually a very big topic. First of all, I want to ask: has anybody here been working for a European institution anytime during his professional career? Okay.
Does UEFA count?
Sorry?
Does UEFA count?
No, not really.
Sorry.
You can put it in your resume, but
Let's try.
yeah. So I will start briefly by presenting myself and how I got involved with this topic. As many of the guys who are sitting today here with us, I also studied in Germany, bachelor in economics and then master because it was all together. And actually during my studies, because we were approaching the 2007, the year when we entered the European Union, and I was very much interested in the economic perspective and how things are managed in terms of macroeconomics, in terms of, and of course the project for the euro was already ongoing and so on. And I got involved during my studies with this topic. I also had the chance and the privilege to have some very prominent professors who were very active in this area. Some of them were very prominent Eurosceptics. So basically people who are not Eurosceptics in terms of like how we understand it here in Bulgaria, like Возрождение style, or some people who are just outright ultras, so to say. It was in a very educated and professional manner, because those people, they were very high level. One of them was even student of Friedrich Hayek, and this led me to write a diploma thesis, which was basically about introducing the euro in the countries from Central and Eastern Europe. Just one sentence about that. I was so inspired. I was basically ready, and I did it after that, to go to Brussels to start working there. And because Bulgaria was just entering when I was finalizing everything, Bulgarians were sought basically as employees for the institutions and so on and so forth. My how to put it, academic overseer, or the person who was in charge.
Father of your diploma team.
No, I wouldn't say. He was a very smart, very young professor, very prominent, and also active in the area of macroeconomics, international monetary relations. These topics that are related to the eurozone, to the this monetary union, because this is actually first a political construct, and then it is backed by some theory. And this person, because I read all ECB papers, everything from American writers, professors prominent from whichever university, from the Ivy League, and so on and so forth. Also German high-level papers, and everything was, And then I presented quite one. I mean, there was a critique inside, but quite a one-sided story inside. And he said, "Your diploma thesis is very good, but you need to have more." Not critical. It's called, maybe the direct translation from German, kritische Würdigung. It needs to be challenged a little bit more. And then I was just asking myself, what the fuck does he want from me? I mean, everything is in place, everything is well justified, everything, yeah. Later, I understood what he meant when I went to Brussels. And I went to Brussels, I worked for 2 years for the European Parliament and especially for the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs. It was during the crisis period when a lot of new banking legislation, a lot of new, this topic was very hot because of the global financial crisis. I worked with people from the Commission and so on and so forth. Let's go not into details. And I almost, because I had to go back to Bulgaria, I almost, like a year later, became a official European civil servant working for the European Commission in the same field. I passed all the exams, EU knowledge, on the macroeconomic financial side and so on. And then I went, why I'm telling this, because you need to understand where are we going to. I went to a final interview exam in Brussels with people from the Commission and so on. I was so well prepared. This was basically maybe a couple of weeks after, if you remember, Greece got a lot of very fat tranches from the European Union, International Monetary Fund, and so on, because of the crisis there was very, actually because of German and French banks, but this is another story. Let's not go into details, and because they were over-levered, the state. You know, they were spending a lot after they got into the Eurozone through the back door. And why through the back door? Because there was clear evidence also on later stage that they falsified statistics. Sounds familiar a little bit. If you follow, yes, they falsified statistics and so on and so forth. I went there and I wasn't strategically prepared, but thankfully so, because my life changed after that, and I'm very happy with my current situation here in Bulgaria and what I have done in the last 15 years. And I went there, I started to present myself, telling him, you know, what I've studied, what I've did, where I worked, because it was after I was already an insider for 2 years working for the European Parliament, knowing the institution. This is a major plus, and so on. And then suddenly, you know, we started to go more technical, and some questions popped regarding whether Great Britain should be in the Eurozone. And as well as I'm prepared, of course, I started reciting Nobel Prize winners, people who have dedicated their life to, you know, investigate those issues, and so on and so forth, statistical data, whatever. And I said, there are, of course, pros, there are cons, but overall, it seems that the Brits would be better off, right, theoretically and empirically, for now, to be outside. And then the temperature in the room fell with 15 degrees immediately. Then there was a similar discussion on Greece. And why I'm telling this? I'm telling this because those people, also through, you know, my personal story, because those people, they're very biased, very politically biased, and also institutionally. We should not forget that the European Union, as good as it, and we benefit from it, it's a political organization. There were, similar political organization. The United States of America is a similar construct, okay? But so was the Soviet Union, right? And we should not forget that all the discussion, it's very heavily politically biased. And people very often go into technicalities just to mask that and to scare people that are not aware of the details. And also everything is very, how to put it, timing related on what will happen, when it will happen, if at all. And it's also related to governance issues. Governance for the state, governance of the banks, governance of the businesses, and so on and so forth. So whether those fears that are installed in the public will materialize in, in what amount, in what extent, to what extent, and so on. Later, because of my interest in this area, I went to work for the banking supervision here in Bulgaria, and I spent there 5 years. And I saw some banks failing, not because of the euro, but for other reasons. Most of you are familiar with the case. Around this period, 2015, 2016, I stopped to be interested as much as I was before. Because by the end of the day, seeing how deeply this process is politicized, and that it depends on the decision making of people that have some, let's say, other agendas than the one that is soundly supported by economic theory. You see that I cannot influence this, you cannot influence this, so basically it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We should not, I have already a glass. We should not fear this, because obviously we cannot control this. We should be aware though that nothing lasts forever. Like the currency board that we are currently still in, right? It was never meant to last forever. There is no such country that is in a forever currency board situation in the history of this world. On the other hand, Bulgaria is, we have very rich history. During, I don't know, many long periods in our history, the currency has been tied to some external currency of a bigger entity, right? Whether it's the Soviet Union, whether it's the Byzantine Empire, or the Turks, or whatever. So it's not something that we should be afraid of. It's not something that we control. We can be aware of the big, at least to watch out for some stuff, and I will try to discuss this with you. I'm also open, to have a more open format, like discussing specific issues that pop to your mind. This was my main message that I wanted to convey. Basically, the economic theory is very simple, although some people got a Nobel Prize for that. It's a person called Robert Mundell. It's called optimal currency area theory. All right, just very briefly for the people that are not aware, what does this mean? So it says in 2 sentences that 2 separate political entities, let's say states, can peg their currency irrevocably, although in reality nothing is forever, if there are certain prerequisites that are fulfilled, and those are economic and political. Of course, there are some that are let's say that are a subset of prerequisites that help the bigger ones, and they are namely that the business cycles of those entities should be correlated, because if they have a common currency, then they have the instruments for managing the economic cycle. For 2 separate entities, you have only one instrument, and there might be a conflict, right? Let's say for the monetary policy instrument, if you want to guide the cycle, and you have a recession in the one entity and a boom in the other entity, there is a conflict because you have only one tool. And also, so the synchronization of business cycles, that is why, for example, UK was empirically it wasn't supported empirically that it should be, within the Eurozone, because the correlation of the business cycles was not good enough. And UK is very big economy, and for a big economy to enter the Eurozone, there might be, a lot of conflict for the future when the business cycles start to diverge for whatever reason. And the structure of the economy, some international conflicts, whatever the reason is. And the second one, which is also very prominent, of course, many people expanded this theory. And the second one is the labor mobility. Okay, if I have unemployment in one place because of a recession, and I have a boom in the other place where people are sought after, the ones from the one place can go to the other and vice versa, so things can balance overall. And people claim that the US is a very good optimal currency area because they have like a common language, they're mobile and so on, but the empirical evidence nowadays especially is that this is worsening with the time. So this is not clear cut. So this is more, yes?
I have one question.
Yes.
Can you explain how it's possible that the business cycles are not correlating, for example, with UK and Europe, because I guess they're doing business mainly with Europe. So how it's possible that they're somehow outside of it?
I will tell you the biggest example ever, German reunification. This is an external shock that is so large that even though you have some trade relationship, you're exchanging goods and your spending is my income and vice versa, which is basically how it works. It is so big that it might, for the one country, it might cause, let's say, a recession. And the other country in the same period, for whatever reasons, is booming. And then the European Central Bank has to intervene. It has to say, shall I lower the interest rate and help those guys? And in the same time, I will dampen the situation in the other one. Or should I, there is a conflict. And this is a very big problem. And this is something you cannot foresee. That is why you need this business cycle correlation. You need to have, like, for us, for instance, like Bulgaria, because the European Union is our biggest trade partner, and especially Germany, it's not such a big issue because there is a law of gravity in economics as well, right? There is like a big body, and there is a small body that is circling around it, and the one pulls it, and so on and so forth. Too bad for us that we are in the middle, and another one big body tries to pull us to the other side.
Just wondering why it's happening exactly with the UK. How come the other countries are synchronized somehow with Europe, but UK is not?
The idea, at least theoretically, and that is why, it's not a perfect construct, as I said, is also a political one, and the creation, this is a very, very long story. Because everybody wanted the stability of the German mark, and especially the French, historically. They always wanted this, to have it somehow. And at that time, because of the German unification, François Mitterrand, he saw a very nice opportunity to push the European Union in the direction of monetary unification. So, because is it good to have like a stable, currency that is well accepted with low inflation? We know also historically why it is important for the Germans to have low inflations and so on and so forth. So this is how it started, and it was backed a little bit by theory. So those Maastricht criteria, which are somewhat quantification of let's say of the economic reality, will allow the countries to be sufficiently synchronized, and after that they can be accepted, so no huge shocks can cause some divergence and this conflict within the monetary policy framework. Okay, so this is more or less the theory.
Just one thing, if you allow me, just to explain, like this synchronization when you said one country is booming, the other one is in depression, let's say, like
contraction, whatever.
Contraction, whatever. Like when you have a booming country, you usually increase the interest rates, which dampens the currency of financial flows, right, and then lowers the financial activity. And when some
because otherwise we'll have very high inflation, and inflation is very bound to expectations, and when the inflation expectations they start to be embedded within the economy, it might cause self-fulfilling prophecy and lead to hyperinflation. This is how typically works.
And if you have actually contraction of the economy, you lower the interest rates so you can boost the economic activity. And basically, this is what he was telling you. Have one monetary instrument for both sides. Probably most of you know it. I just wanted to make sure that if somebody doesn't, just to be aware of what this actually is. Yeah.
Now, I don't want to go too much into technical details because European Union has decades of history. Currently, we are in ERM 2, right? Which means that there was a ERM 1. So you can imagine that this process has been conducted for decades before that, and there was a first try to do a monetary union before it started back in the 90s. Okay, because the introduction of the euro is the technical side of things, right? It starts legal tender and so on, but the process started 1992, 1993 for the creation of the European Union, monetary union. And before that, there was EMS 1 and so on. But this is not important. This is important for people that want to read economic history and financial history and so on and so forth. As I said in the beginning, currently I cannot control this. I just follow the process and try to adapt depending on my personal finances, the finances of my business if necessary, to adapt to whatever reveals itself every 6 months, let's say. Okay. Of course, there are things that can be expected with high probability. Nothing is certain, but with high probability. And this probability is very heavily dependent on the political process in the country and also on European level. And especially now within the geopolitical framework that is very, let's say, shaky, and military conflicts in I would say, very close to us, it's hard to foresee with certainty what exactly will happen. But nevertheless, having also described briefly the economic theory, there are certain, let's say, major pros and cons that are typically discussed within this framework and when talking about optimal currency areas, and especially the Eurozone per se. The first major thing that is to be expected, also one caveat, all of the major pros and cons can be simultaneously also turned with the opposite sign. There are arguments which basically are related to implementation, technical stuff, how it's going to work, how it's going to be implemented, that can change a lot the outcome. Yeah. For instance, the first one is the financial stability issue, right? Banks allegedly will be more, stable, right? They're gonna be supervised by the European Central Bank. We're gonna be part of the mechanism of the European Union that supports bank in case of something happens. They also can be refinanced within the from the European Central Bank, which is the Bulgarian National Bank cannot do right now because we're in the currency board arrangement, and the money supply is more or less fixed and is related to the inflow of currency in the country. So the money supply can grow, right, when there is a currency. And the money supply has to be backed by a certain amount of currency, which is the currency board regime. This is more or less what it represents. Tomorrow, the governor of the central bank cannot decide to, let's say, print a lot of money, distribute it as loans to the commercial banks, and then expand the money supply, and with that economic activity, inflation, and so on and so forth. This is impossible under the current regime. It will be impossible under the ECB regime as well, unless the ECB starts to print a lot of money, which was, in recent years, you know what the situation was. Interest rates below zero, a lot of free money for the banks, and so on and so forth. For the Eurozone, I mean.
Would a scenario like with KTB Bank be possible with the euro or not?
I was about to talk about something similar within this topic of financial stability. There are several, I won't name them, Bulgarian banks with Bulgarian owners that are shady. Is a very polite term. He mentioned one of those banks. As well, International Asset Bank, Invest Bank. There are some of them, right? To be honest, I don't know how the ECB is going to supervise those institutions. Secondly, in theory, they will have they will be also able to borrow money from the ECB. Which I don't know why should they get the chance to do so, right? I don't know. It might prolong the inevitable end of those institutions, which is never good, right?
So,
in my opinion, because if you do not compete on let's say on market terms, this is not good for the economy, okay? If you're somehow the banking supervisor is looking in the other direction when you do dirty business and you're more or less broke, like it is suspected for the institution you mentioned, yeah. Why should we support zombie institutions? This is never a good thing, and in other countries it turns out to be, very damaging. So, of course, I'm not saying that we should have a banking crisis. I'm saying that we need to find a way, which is also politically, unfeasible for the moment as a measure, to somehow wind them down, sell them for a fair price. Because they tried to sell it First Investment Bank, but the price was, come on. Nobody would pay for an empty glass the price for a full glass. It doesn't work like that.
Because Stephen's question was very pertinent. So your answer...
So I'm saying that this is not. It's not clear cut. It depends on the implementation. It depends how the supervision will be conducted locally. They will for sure, because now they're overseeing the major banks, the biggest banks, right?
However, I'm going to push you to make a very straightforward answer.
No problem.
So your answer would be what happened to KTB? Was that the name of the bank?
Yes.
It could still happen, but will be in a much longer period of time.
Well, listen, KTB was like a raider's approach, The bank was raided. It's not. It was raided by the institutions. okay, because the institutions are corrupt.
But
And the institutions, it is suspected that it won't be as corrupt because there will be stricter oversight of the ECB, right? Like, let's say, if the banking supervision department, if it looks in the other way, if there is something wrong, right, that this won't happen. Whether this will be the case in practice, this I don't know. But theoretically so. But my recommendation would be just don't bother to have something to do with such institutions. Because a lot of people, I mean, KTB was giving like amazing interest on deposits, like double the market one.
No, 8%.
What about efforts to strengthen First Investment Bank and the other banks before the adoption of the euro? I know that there was some efforts because it was like requirement.
There is a lot of, I mean, whenever accounting is involved, there is a lot of creativity involved as well. And also accounting can be a tool for political purposes. So those people, I mean, Bulgarian banks in general, now the ones that are part of bigger international groups, it's considerably better, I think. But the banking sector as a whole, after the communist regime fell and so on, banks have been always very close to the people in power. We are a small country. Everything is related. People know each other. They do business together one way or another. So it's not realistically to expect that this is done by the books. At least I don't believe this. First of all, and secondly, why didn't they sell successfully the First Investment Bank? If it was a healthy one, right? It was well capitalized and so on. If the capital was real, because it might be blah blah capital, okay, then somebody who wants, to, let's say, gain a market share for a fair price should come and say, okay, I'm I don't know, Unicredit, whichever group, and I will buy this asset because I can make money out of it because this was a big bank and it was a decent bank service-wise. Even I was a customer, let's say, until 2013-14.
Just one thing. Let's please focus more on the euro. I understand that KTB is important, but
banks. Financial stability is a very big issue. Financial stability is a very big. It's allegedly it will, everything will be more robust.
Basically, what he's saying is that ECB is further away than Bulgarian Central Bank, and it will be tougher to get to the vice president of ECB than the Bulgarian National Bank, which happened with KTB, right?
Yes.
This is like they were like this, right? So that's why he's saying that the controlling person or the controlling part of the bank was looking the other way because there were a lot of photos and videos of them partying together and so on, right? So basically what he's saying is it's supposed that it's tougher to corrupt the ECB, which is further away than the Bulgarian National Bank. That's it. That's basically the difference to make it simple. But I would really love
But the implementation matters. Execution matters. I mean, how it's going to operate in reality, we don't know yet.
Well, is it correctly that these banks that are branches of international banks, like Unicredit, Raiffeisen,
They're not branches, they're subsidiary. There is a difference.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the
Yes.
difference, but in
Legally.
their name
Yeah.
can be found outside of Bulgaria. So they're
Yes.
local Bulgarian banks owned by, or maybe they are. So are they, can they be assumed to be safer and working with other means other than the local? looking away from the reality practice and so on.
It should be like that in theory. In practice, there is always, you know, some affiliation with local
Some Bulgarian and
local robber barons. But listen, you have the 100,000 euro guarantee, which is European Union wide. So you can have, if you have more money, of course, multiple deposits, so it's covered. But I wouldn't keep my money in the bank anyways, because it's not, you know, not a good investment. On the stock market or crypto or whatever your expertise is, or a diversified portfolio of different assets, something that can, you know, at least give you some value, because for a very long period of time, and this is also another topic that we're gonna talk about maybe later on, the interest rate on deposits is very low, and that is why also the interest rates on mortgages, on corporate loans, and everything is are very low compared even to Europe, and yeah, which basically brings me to the second topic of lowering general interest rates, which will allow for more investment, which will, which will lower interest rate costs for businesses, for consumers, and so on. In certain countries, this was the case, like for the Baltic countries, but it's also very heavily dependent on timing, I would say, and also the overall situation with respect to the economic cycle of those countries. And the European Union as a whole, because those are also small, open economies that trade a lot with the European Union. And basically, if the European Union is in a recession, I'm sorry, but not good for you. And but in our current case, as I mentioned, the banks in Bulgaria are mostly funded through the depositor base. Okay, people have deposits. The banks take the money, the money, and lend it for whatever purposes. And that is why we have such low interest rates, because the banks, they don't give to the deposit holders basically almost nothing. And this will change 1st of January, where the calculation of the interest rate will technically change. For businesses, I would say 2.5% almost immediately. For consumers, for retail, for the retail segment, my expectation is to have something like 1.5% around 6 months to a year after the euro adoption. So if you have mortgages, expenses will likely rise.
Just let me check this if I understand right. So if right now the business is financed by 4.55%,
yeah,
do you expect it to be 7 to 7.5?
Yeah.
Okay. And if mortgages are around 2.5, okay,
yes.
2.3, 2.8, whatever, you expect it to get to 4.
3.5 to 4, because there are also other factors, but for the new mortgages, let's put it like that. But there will be most likely, because the banks, they're in the business for making money. They're not there for your convenience only. They have. Because the way it is calculated will change immediately. So if you're gonna take a new loan, it will start immediately.
And the old loan?
Depends on yes. If the market rates are higher, and you have flexible mortgage.
Usually, most of the mortgages are flexible. Yeah. So I have a fixed I have a mortgage which is with a fixed interest for 5 years. That's why I paid 3.5% right now. And most of you, if you get a mortgage right now, you're paying 2.3, 2.5. So I'm paying the percent, which is the price to have a fixed percent, which because I took it 2 years ago, because I was very smart at that time and I thought like all the interest rates will go up and I will be underneath that. But actually, I'm paying for 2 years right now more than everybody else. So, but whatever.
But this might, equalize in the midterm.
Midterm, I'm sure that even the old mortgages and the new ones are going to basically to equalize, but
this is our current situation of abundant liquidity that we have like for the last 5, I don't know, years or more. Okay, the banks have a lot of money. They don't pay you enough for the money, so they can compete with very low rates. This can fuel together with the under the table money, housing sector bubble, whatever you call it, overinvestment in the sector, and so on and so forth. But this will eventually have to stop, because in the long run, the interest rates will be determined by the European Central Bank. If the European Central Bank lowers the interest rates, but in the mid to long run, which is not 6 months, 1 year, it's longer. So my expectation is first that there will be, some increase, and there will be gradual stabilization. In the long run, the interest rates probably would be lower if we compare it to our situation outside the Eurozone, okay? For various reasons. Because of lower risk, because of that. Okay. Because the bank has a very simple way to calculate the interest rate, okay? On top, they have a profit margin, let's say half a percentage point or 1 point. Then they have a risk charge. Who are you, Ruben? Do you have income? Do you have assets?
No.
Bad for you. You have a larger charge, so interest rate will be higher. Huh? Ninja, yeah, no. This was very prominent 15 years ago, but maybe in certain areas of the US is still working well. And then you have the cost of the money itself. What type of interest the bank is paying to acquire the money? Okay, it can be acquired, let's say, borrowed from the mother. This is internal transfer pricing. From, let's say, UniCredit Austria. It can be borrowed from you people, me as well. It can be borrowed from the ECB, depends whether you're in the Eurozone or not. So this is the way it's calculated. And now the Euribor is around 215 or something like that. Euribor is the rate that banks charge to each other for lending each other money. Okay, so you start with this, and then you add on top those other two. And if now they pay for a deposit 0.5, 0.7 or whatever, and they can give you 2.5 mortgage, right? Yes. Suddenly, the cost for the bank from 0.5 will be 2.15 at least. Okay? So it's a simple math.
I have a very concrete question. I have a mortgage.
I'm not a credit consultant, by the way.
In euro.
Yes.
In euro. So what I'm thinking is that if I want to kill the mortgage, the best will be to do it on 1st of January. Because I won't lose money because I have a level right now. And I won't lose money in the conversion rate.
Currently, you can convert at the peg rate of the currency board.
Yes, but it's worse than the
No, not anymore. You can now go and convert it the rate.
You can do it now?
Yes, if you have legal money, of course. because you have to fill in. I mean, like for a mortgage, it's not 5 level, right?
Yeah, it's not 5.
Yeah.
It's small, but it's not 5.
Yeah. You have to, fill the form for explaining where you got the money from and so on.
Yeah, but at what rate?
At the currency board rate, 1.55.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
You exchange it against the Deutschmark, technically.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
You can do that in
This is actually a very good point, because if I'm bothered about something regarding the currency board, is that more or less we're gonna lose the peg to the German mark, because now we are technically pegged to the German mark. Okay, it doesn't exist in reality, but it might. Who knows? For the future. Yeah.
supposedly there are actually, in 2008, you know that, right? They printed, just in case, they printed the whole basement full of banknotes, right? So,
Where's
because
this
you never
basement?
know. Yeah, because
In Frankfurt.
no, because you didn't know whether the Eurozone would hold together, right? Because they did that. That's true. The story is true, right?
I love the Deutsche Bundesbank.
Yeah.
I was there once for a seminar. Even slept there. They have a separate. They
In
have
this basement?
no. They have a separate a block for visitors and so on. It's amazing. But the European Central Bank is even more heavy metal. I mean, they're like, man, on top of the world. Yeah. What I was talking about, because I forgot.
I don't know whether it's in your field of expertise. I was just astonished that this topic at all came up in reference to Bulgaria right after it was announced that the euro will be accepted for sure.
Which is a political decision.
Yeah, no matter, I don't know, it can be, or whatever. But right after the announcement, maybe a month later, the International Monetary Fund came up with the suggestion that Bulgaria should part with the flat rate taxes in Bulgaria and introduce a progressive schedule, which is also a big topic for debate.
This will happen,
Eventually.
but it's not related to the euro. It's related to our inability to govern well our budget, and it's. I mean, this is a separate topic. If you want to ask me something concrete, because this is a very sad story. It's related to the euro, by the way, which I'll talk. I mean, spuriously at least, which I'll talk in a moment when I talk about some of the negatives.
I was wondering whether there is relation to things, not more than that.
Because I heard what she just said. Let me just interrupt her for a second. I told you in the beginning, there will be. I mean, all the benefits have some negative connotation to them, because some of the benefits will be long run, and some of them are related to the starting position. And our starting position is that in the banks there are like billions and billions, as our friend across the ocean, is loving to of leva, right? And obviously, for the banks, it's cheaper to use this resource so they can compete on the interest rate, which is good for us as at least until now for personal reasons.
And for the economy, because this boosts the economy. The lower the interest rate, the more economic activity. Basically.
Yes. Capital allocation matters. It matters in business. It matters for the state. Capital allocation. If you put your capital into unproductive goals, purposes, whatever, like building a house and selling it.
So you're thinking
with
Chinese banking crisis in Bulgaria, right? Is that what you're thinking?
No.
That's what I'm thinking.
No. I mean, there are bubbles
So
in
the Chinese housing crisis.
Yes. No. Yeah. With them, it was like, I don't know. But yeah, the principle is the same, right? You use your money to consume or to build unproductive assets, what's gonna happen? Will the economy grow temporarily, artificially, a little bit? Yes, on paper. Will people get richer? On paper. Because this is not productive. You're not developing new products. You're not doing business. You're not trading. You're not, innovating. You're not investing in productivity gains. You're brick and mortar. If you build a factory like by Trump, okay, eventually, you might start getting some growth and so on. But building some houses and building a lot of them, and in the same time being poor, and having dead economy.
And not doing anything with the house. What bothers me is nobody does anything with the houses. They're sitting empty.
Exactly, 35% at least.
And it's one thing to build a house and somebody lives there, somebody does research there, somebody writes a paper there, somebody raises a family there, all these kind of things that are productive for society and or for the economy. But just having it sitting there as an investment, and then maybe the rising interest rates that you mentioned, which should lower the value of the affordability,
yes.
Apologies, of the housing. Yeah, that sounds like it.
And one more piece of statistical data. In Sofia, for 2024, around 35% of all the deals that are made on the property market is financed by mortgage. What about the rest? Huh?
I can tell you about the rest.
Yes, yeah. So when you combine all of this, you have the situation that we are currently in. And to be honest, I'm somewhat okay with that at least for the short run, the interest rates might rise. Because this party needs to be, the party people needs to come and somehow dampen the situation. It won't end good.
Or there will be blood in the streets.
My question was just related regarding the real estate market.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the bubble, but we just started the topic. I was really interested to know how do you think the introduction of the euro will impact the real estate market?
From what I saw from other countries that introduced the euro, I mean, countries from, let's say, with similar background as ours, that introduced the euro, some of them introduced it more or less around the financial crisis. So pre-euro accession, they had like a very steep rise in prices, and then the crisis hit them, and there was like, but this was more or less business cycle related. And then gradually the rate of growth of prices, and we did the price level, firstly stabilized and then increased. In some countries more, in others less, and so on and so forth. So the euro itself is not related to, in a straightforward way with the rise of prices in the property market. It is more. It is more. I mean, it's more related to the loose monetary policy. The EU funds that are abundant, and some people got the majority and under the mattress, and then because their financial culture and is, they don't know anything to do, with the money. The majority of people hold their assets in the bank, under the mattress, or they buy a house here. Even people with a lot of money.
Here, just because of the real estate, this is one of the topics I'm considering for probably the next meeting or the meeting afterwards, to invite here a real estate broker or two actually to have a discussion. But basically, I was in a situation in the last 2 years to be able to buy properties with money in the bank, right? So I didn't have to take the loan. I just could go and buy it. I like this, I want to buy it. And I thought okay, I'm just the big boss here. I'm just saying I want to negotiate. I want 20% down. I want 10% down. I want something like that. And the broker just looked at me, who the fuck are you? And like you're like half the people like you, like 70%, like
Yeah.
they did nothing, like just no deal, right? Zero, nada, niente. Like it just like most of the people actually buy properties at the moment, especially in the last 6 to 12 months. Because I'm still connected to these brokers. I've been working with them. It's like you say, like it's still cash. I mean, many of them are from the bank. Many are literally from the back side of the car, going out with a suitcase, buying property. Still, like especially right now.
Crazy.
This is the market right now. I mean, just and I'm saying like talking to people that are in the market right now, like they're doing deals right at the moment, right? And like there's a lot of unaccounted cash right now.
But you cannot buy property with cash.
You
You can.
Of course.
Like you say, per square
can,
meter
you
it costs
can.
200 euros or 300, and you pay the rest 3,000 on cash.
It's yes. It's because of the
I'm exaggerating right now, of
tax,
course.
the
but
appraisal
this-
for tax purposes, which was, this is very outdated. It's 10, 15 years old, and
I
yeah.
also would like to add, because I have as well a friend in the real estate. that
She was
says-
one of
yeah.
the people I was thinking about
What
inviting.
she says is right now is that around 50% of the deals, the seller also wants 50% cash on the deal in euro. Yeah. So it is not just the buyers that have
Yes.
the cash, but also the seller would like to have the cash. Is of course you can save a lot on taxes, etc.
Yes.
But this is on the
Tax
both sides.
optimization.
Yeah.
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 So the mattress will not disappear.
This we don't know, but it actually you might be right. Well, one of the I mean, if there is a liquidity in the system, and it depends how this liquidity is distributed, there always might be such a problem, right? If there is abundant liquidity in the system. And right now, because our economy is very bad, in a very bad shape, people who are governing the country, they have problems fulfilling the budget, money, that's why they got active on the revenue side with all those, I don't know if you have the revenue agency, they started calling a lot more recently for whatever purposes, even for speeding tickets and stuff like that. And
I can confirm that.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
One thing, sorry to interrupt you, but like we have like 10 minutes to 9 right now.
Yes. So several of important points to mention that I think are really important. First of all is what's going to happen with the freed resource from the central bank, because as I said in the beginning, the currency board arrangement demands that the central bank holds that the monetary base is basically covered by foreign currency denominated assets. And after the introduction of the euro, some of it, this is a very large amount, 40, 50 billion, I think, something like that. Some of it will go as a deposit in the European Central Bank, but the rest will be more or less free to use. And now you can imagine why some people want to be in power, right? Because there will be a lot to spend. And then you have also the money coming from the European Union and so on and so forth. So this is just a hypothesis, of course, it depends, but there is a scenario in which the money helps certain people from our political environment to cement themselves as a local ruler, right? For, let's say, a decade or so, because the people will be more or less distributed to cronies, businesses that are, around us, that support us, and so on and so forth. So this is a big at least in theory, a big danger. But knowing the creativity of our political class, this is for me it's a very big danger. This is one thing. Second, that I wanted to talk about was inflation, which more or less is related to two things. First of all is the so-called menu cost. Menu cost means that if you have a menu, let's say in a restaurant, and then you have to switch to another currency or raise prices or do everything that you described with the parking and so on, the rounding error thing, it will cause more expenses for me as a business owner and so on. So I have to translate this to you as a customer and so on. So there will be like at least slight initial jump in the inflation because of this. Eventually, this might be compensated by the lower interest rates long term that can cause, foreign direct investment. Although in our case, I'm not sure, because foreign direct investment doesn't chase only the interest rate. It chases institutions, rule of law, infrastructure, and you know what the condition of those points within Bulgaria are. And but yeah, initially it's unavoidable. I'm also in my business. I'm thinking about how I'm gonna, let's say, do the rounding, and it will immediately raise the price. And this is a clear-cut thing. For many people, it won't matter, but for a lot of people, it might matter. And yeah, we talked about the housing market. Yes, and yeah, those are basically the major drawbacks that you can think of, at least initially. The biggest one, I didn't talk explicitly about it. I will just mention it because it might get too long as well, is the loss of the monetary policy instrument, right? I cannot govern my own central bank and do a monetary policy that suits my purposes and goals and my business cycle and whatever. But in our case, as you know, since 1997, for the same reasons, we got rid of this instrument by introducing the currency board. Also, having in mind, as I said, how corrupt mostly of the government officials are, I wouldn't actually give them such a power in the first place. So it's not a big loss, in my opinion. It's not. I mean, theoretically, and if we had like a normal functioning central bank, if we had, if we were Germany, a big economy and so on, you need this. You need this. Okay, it's important. They did at least it was suspected that they did a good deal by giving up the monetary policy instrument for being able to sell to everybody, and especially to the poor ones, on credit, yeah, to the periphery, as we talked in the beginning. But every single over exaggeration and exuberance and and party comes with a hangover after that, right? You do too much, then the next day it's not as pleasant as it should be. And it's the same in economics. Okay, no free lunches, as you know, and so on and so forth. You receive something, you give up something. By the end of the day, the taxpayer is covering whatever is necessary.
Or in Germany, the renter, right?
Yes, yes.
Because now the prices have risen because of that's a long discussion.
Yes, and one more thing about it. It is claimed that there will be a fiscal discipline after we join, because there, requirements, there is monitoring, there are requirements about rule of law and so on and so forth. That there will be a fiscal discipline, which means that we won't spend as much on a state level. Although the reality shows actually that it's not completely true, even the opposite, let's say for countries like Greece, right? After the introduction of the euro, okay, Malaka, a spending spree started come on. There were anecdotes about civil servants in 2007, 8, 9 getting 4,000 euro salary and so on. For us, we don't currently have enough money. Okay, you know the agendas of the people that govern us. They're gonna get lower interest rates, at least initially on the borrowing. So the thing with the long-term lower interest rates is not clear, because it's also dependent on how much we're gonna borrow as a country. Okay, if we borrow a lot, which might be the case because those people are greedy and they need to cement themselves in power, and for this they need to spend. The cronies that are supporting them, they need money. And this is the business model of certain people that are currently, in power. And because of that, the long-term, let's say, lowering of interest rates, which will stimulate the economy and so on, is not that clear-cut. It depends also on the fiscal situation. It depends also on the interest rates of the ECB and so on and so forth. And it is what it is. We vote for them, right? We accept to be governed like that, and that is why there are certain risks regarding it. Okay, with this I will finish.
No, Vladi, please, we need to hear the conclusion.
The conclusion.
What would be your recommendation?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Let's go back to the exam situation.
Oh,
But
okay.
now it's not
Okay. Yes.
And personal opinion would be nice. So my suggestion would be to hear his conclusion. I would love to hear a personal opinion.
Conclusion on.
And then have a short discussion.
Okay.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. The exam. Yeah. Well, actually, I passed the exam, but they gave me 1 point less than I needed to start the job there. Okay, because I said nothing wrong, right? All the technical issues, what is the budget of the European Union? How much is this? What is this? Theoretical and other stuff, and so on. But I basically failed the political test, okay? Exactly. They need people that, they know the gospel and will recite the gospel no matter what. And this is not good. This is not healthy, And at that moment, I understood why my professor was, criticizing the European institutions, how they were working, and so on and so forth. Before that, I was, it couldn't be that bad, right? It's not, right? But it's not that simple. The political process always, I don't know how to put it, intervenes, always makes things a little bit nasty.
So we should brace for impact?
There are certain risks, of course, but there, as you, I don't know, as a conclusion, of course, those risks are not related to the euro per se, right? It's not, they might be correlated, correlation is not causation, as we say in economics and statistics. But yeah, why those people rush to go to the Eurozone as fast? We don't know. It might be for the reasons I mentioned. It might be for geopolitical reasons, because there's conflict with Russia, for instance. It might be, and I mean, come on. I would say, I've talked to people, they say it's more. I would say 70% of our economy and the assets are held by Russian-related parties.
True.
Yeah? Some people claim it's more.
So we're trying to avoid this with the euro?
No, you cannot avoid this. I mean, our country has been always like, we have not more than 25% of saying about our own destiny. Anyways, so as I said in the beginning, you know, I don't bother, I don't even follow the discussions as much anymore, because it's just a noise in the system. I have more important things to do in my, you know, daily routine and everything. Business-wise, personally-wise, family-wise, and so on, to follow those things that some people, they use just, you know, to scare other people, or, you know, to earn some money on the side. For some people, it's like a main source of income, but yeah.
One thing that, like, just for me, just to conclude what you said, and then I would like to open a discussion for about 15 minutes, if you're okay with that, and then we can have like a more informal conversations. But like, a straight question: is it, according to you, what do you expect, and how would you behave from the 1st of January? Is it going to be better for Bulgaria, for your business activities, for your personal life, for your retail investing? Because we talk about this, like, we know each other for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
what you do, you know what I do. Like, what do you expect? Like, better, worse off, same?
I don't think that. I mean, until the money stops, everything's fine. You know, so there will be money. Money will be there. So the party, you know, won't stop as abruptly, and this is at least what I expect. At least for the foreseeable future, let's say 3 to 5 years. I don't think that if there is nothing, you know, major abroad to the east. Okay. So not much will, for me personally, I don't expect much to change, but the problem is that the environment is not healthy. So when everybody as a person, you know, as a separate entity, household or business will feel it, it depends on many things. It depends on the sector. It depends on you know, what you're currently involved with, and so on and so forth. To me, there is not, I mean, end of the world won't come because of the euro, for sure. I don't expect this. What I will do is I'll be doing the same as before. Okay, what I was doing until now. I will try to export some assets. Okay, basically to not be concentrated only. Because we are very concentrated, because our income comes from Bulgarian sources most of the times, right? Entities in Bulgaria, company, government, whatever, you know. You have a flat, which also stays here. In case of war, you cannot take the flat and go away. And therefore, I do this for the last, let's say, 5-6 years. I try to export some assets, okay, to be abroad. So if I need money, and the source of money is not related to the concentrations that I have in Bulgaria, and we are even more concentrated because our family members, they're also, you know, their source of income is here. Their assets are mostly, the physical assets are here, and so on. And that is why, you know, this is my strategy for now. And because as an investor, to go to you know, just to do a slight turn, I don't like buying overvalued assets, right? It's not good for your long-term goals. So I won't go and buy. I know people that made money out of that because of the cycle currently in the property market, let's say. You know, they go, and especially if they're well related to brokers, to builders, to developers, basically. So there is a very, very easy scheme where, you know, people go, they buy, let's say, 1, 2, 3 good apartments in good locations and so on with on the green, how it's called in English? In construction, yeah, whatever. And then around Act 16, they sell it for, let's say, 30-40% gain, and then they start all over again, okay? And some people did very good money. I think the ones that did this on leverage and that didn't have their own money will have to stop gradually because of the interest rates increase that might happen next year. But to be honest, I don't know. This might continue with lower growth, right? With lower tempo. But this is not me. I mean, I'm too lazy for this. This is too much of a hustle. You know, to go to talk to people, to see apartments, to, you know, to do like I have a friend. He said today I sold 3 apartments and I bought 2. This, I mean, come on, this is too much of a stress for me.
Thanks for this. So I would say, like, let's have like 10 minutes of discussion, questions, and then because we're like really advanced with time, I don't know how much time you have. So let's finish the, let's say, the official part or the one that's taped, and then we can still have conversation. But let's keep in 10 minutes, like a few questions, and then that's it for now.
I have one, of course. The obvious question, the one we are kind of dancing around here. This discount for the local property and these kind of things, and discount also for the income. We are basically here talking about a lot of investments and these kind of things. Now, if my heart breaks, my soul bleeds. Now, if you, I mean, we discuss these issues a lot. So if we talk about things like shares and cryptos and debt, maybe, right? The typical classes of investment. And if we consider that Bulgaria, in terms of shares, wasn't so attractive, and it's just simply not very big to park a lot of money.
You mean the Bulgarian stock market?
Yes.
Yes.
Me assuming that you said a bit that you invest in shares and crypto a lot, that you don't have that much into Bulgarian assets anyway.
If I have an idea or a tip, because Bulgaria is very small, and if you're well related, you might get tipped, right?
Yes.
I can, let's say, dedicate a small amount of money. I try to do this now with an IPO that, I mean, I haven't. Although I had some tips before, as I said, I was very lazy, and I also had a lot of other things on my mind to do it. I lost. I mean, I didn't lose, but I missed to do some easy money.
But the cost is a bitch.
Yeah, it's a bitch, but you have to grow over it. I mean, it's there will be other opportunities coming, and yeah, if you have the eyes to see them, of course. But yeah, easy money, which always hurts. And I tried to start going to this IPO of a Bulgarian company that produces hydrogen. Because I had some information and people that I know that are. I mean, I know people that are involved in the project and so on and so forth. And
That's a very Bulgarian thing to say, I know a person.
We are so small. We are like a big village.
My question was much more basic, to be honest. It was much more
Otherwise,
basic.
I wouldn't, you know,
Yes.
otherwise I wouldn't touch
No, that's
Bulgarian
what
stocks.
was much more basic.
Okay.
Thank you for going into the details of H2 production in Bulgaria, which is very fantastic. I didn't know that existed. No, my question was, if you have this we discussed this like 2 or 3 iterations of the club before. If you have this very classic distribution of your assets and you put, I don't know, if a 60-40 portfolio, and you put it mainly into international shares, which right now would probably be dominated in euro and dollar and maybe a bit of yen. Would actually the introduction of the euro in Bulgaria change anything with regard to that? I mean, is there any impact?
I don't think so. At least in the short run, it might change with respect to taxation eventually, because currently we are. I mean, it's a blessing to be an investor in Bulgaria. It's really a blessing. Hallelujah. It's very good. I mean, the tax regime is amazing, and especially if you invest on European stock exchanges as well. Yeah. So
And why would this change?
What's the blessing exactly?
That you don't pay taxes.
You don't pay.
On capital gains.
Yes.
Unrealized capital gains?
Yes.
10%.
No, if you buy, let's say, euro-denominated stocks on European exchanges, they're also free from capital gains tax. You pay only the dividend. Yeah. So it's not even a 10%.
5%.
Huh?
If you have a dividend.
If you have a dividend.
If you dividend paying stock.
Yes. Yeah. This is, I mean, for the people that invest in ETFs, this is very, very, very good. For instance, you should basically find the good UCITS of, let's say, BlackRock, Vanguard, and so on, euro-denominated, and you can save good money within these instruments, and then you don't pay anything. You just need to declare.
It has nothing to do with the euro, right? I mean, nothing.
This is a regime. This is it's Bulgaria, but this might change because he was asking something. He wasn't asking related to the euro per se, but in general. At least I understood the questions
the
like
idea
that.
was just if there is any impact on that that you see, because this is the.
They might change after the events that I described as potential events during the discussion. That eventually. Somebody mentioned also what the IMF says about taxation and stuff like that. That they might want to change this. They don't have currently the capacity, and also it's not interesting because the population is not investing much, right? People, as I said, hold the money under the mattress, in the bank, or buying a building, you know,
Also,
a flat and so on.
The institution, the financial institution, what's it called?
Kafene? Kafene?
No,
Noi, okay.
Yeah,
No,
they
no,
don't know what
Noi is the insurance.
Social insurance.
Yes, yeah.
They don't know what you have.
The revenue agency.
Actually. So
What?
They don't track what you have invested. They don't know that you have like 100,000 in Revolut, for example.
They know. No. They know. They know if they if they want to check your assets for whatever other reason, Revolut is compliant. They get information from Revolut. Completely another question is whether they have the capacity, you know, technical, mental, and head count and so on to do this job. And currently I don't think so. But if you, let's say, like there was there are red flags, so to say, okay? And if you pop on their radar, because you buy, let's say, a car above 100,000, there was like such a campaign a couple of years back. They're gonna come and do a revision on you, you know? And then you have to, they will see everything, what they need to see. They can get the information I think for the big entities such as Revolut and the ones that are financial institutions, not only banks but also e-money and other platforms and stuff that are passported in the European Union, they get complete information.
Okay.
If they use it, how they use it, and so on.
Let's have one more question, last thing, and then conclude this one because we're really advanced with time, and I don't know how much time everybody has, so then we can have it for any discussion. Are there any more questions? Anybody? No? No? Nobody? No? You want to say something?
Those are. I just want to throw rocks in your garden afterwards. It's nothing special.
Sorry, it's a very, very long topic. It is so mixed with a lot of other things. You cannot isolate.
The biggest issue with this.
And I try to to pick some to make it more concise and to have an overview of what at least in my world is important. But to have the full picture, it's difficult.
Okay, thank you everybody for taking the time and participating in this discussion. Thank you so much for the microphone and for taping this. I would say we stop the recording right now, and Vladi is here, I hope, for some more time. You can ask him and talk
Not long though.
Yeah, so catch him until before he's gone, and let's
10
have
minutes,
some
10 minutes at the
conversations
most.
if you want, but just let's